Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Woman Empowerment Series with me Farisha, and today we have a very lovely guest joining us. It's Syaza and Nazura, Noor Azmi. Hi Syaza,
Hi Farisha,
how are
how
you?
are you? I'm good, how are you?
I'm good, Alhamdulillah. And how's things with you?
Okay, so far. I had a quiet weekend, so that's nice.
Okay, that's good. And thank you for being with me on Woman Empowerment Series. So, this is a series where I showcase amazing and wonderful ladies in Malaysia. So, Syaza, can you tell us more about yourself?
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Syaza. I am 26 this year, I think, 2026 next month. So
Mm-hmm.
I've just recently graduated from my master's in education from University of Huddersfield in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Previously, I was in the US for 4 years where I did my bachelor's of business administration in actuarial science at the University of Wisconsin Madison.
Okay. And what are you currently working on at the moment after
So
returning back to Malaysia?
okay, so I came back to Malaysia in January of this year. So I just came back right before the whole COVID-19 situation started, which was a good thing. So I came back and I started working at Alice Smith School in Sri
Mm-hmm.
Kembangan, where I work in the higher education team. So
Mm-hmm.
I help and assist students in their university application, sending off their transcripts, going over personal statements, and making sure that all the application is complete when we send it off to the universities, and making sure that the transition for them from being in college in Malaysia doing A levels to undergraduate life is as smooth as possible.
Okay. Right. Okay. Moving on to the next question. What does woman empowerment means to you?
Okay, so I think so woman empowerment for me is to allow women, regardless of who they are, their race, their belief, their backgrounds, to be for them to have the power and uh the support that they need to do whatever that they want in life. So it can be like if they are more interested into business, giving them the opportunities and support to be able to grow their own business, run their own enterprise and all that. If they're more into politician, being into politics, to give them the support that they need to actually be able to be successful as a politician.
Mm-hmm.
So for
Mm-hmm.
me, women empowerment is actually to be pushing women forward in life, wherever career or whatever pathway that they want to get into, to support them to be able to break the barrier that is there because of who you are as a woman, because we see a lot in business as well. There are gender pay gaps between women and men, so we want to overcome that, those barriers, whatever it is, because we can't just say, oh, you can't do this just because you're a woman. So we want to overcome that challenge and to empower women to take things and take their future in their own hands.
And also be independent to take the lead as well, right?
Yes, to be able to know that this is something that you want to do, so you go out there and grab it regardless of what people say, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes women or like young ladies and girls, they are afraid to do something just because they are afraid that, oh, people might not look at them just because they're a woman, people might not listen to them, people might not believe in what they're saying just because they're a woman. They might have to work
Mm-hmm.
an extra hard or do extra effort just to be on the same level as men. So we want to make sure that they have the courage and the confidence to actually do that, and to help them fight and overcome whatever sexism that is there out there in the world.
Yes, and to be able to be confident and also to get out of their comfort zone. Yeah, I think
Yes.
it's really important because a lot of young ladies, they are afraid to take the risk because they're afraid to get out of that comfort zone. Because when you're too comfortable, you're sitting in your comfort zone, it's too comfortable, so you don't want to challenge yourself to step outside of that comfort zone.
Yeah,
So
it is hard to like take that first step. The first step is always the hardest one. But then once you learn how it is when you take the first step and how fulfilling and empowering that feels, you will be like, oh, you know what, this is actually quite fun to actually try to do something new, something different, and then you feel more empowered to actually do more stuff. But taking the first step is always the hardest part, because you are always afraid of what people will say, you are afraid of how you would look like. Some people are afraid of the view that
the
men don't like
mentality
strong
of
and
people
independent
around
women.
them,
Yes,
yeah, right. Yes.
there's a notion that men don't like strong and independent women, so they tend to become what people expect them to be as a woman. But then that just kind of like diminish your worth as a person itself, not just a woman. So like you need to be able to be strong and independent to chase whatever it is, and just forget about what people would say, because it is going to be your life essentially. So you might as well make the most out of your life that you can.
Yes, and it's good for us to empower more young ladies to be strong, independent, and also willing to take the risk and step outside of their comfort zone.
Yes.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay, Syaza, moving on to the next question. Who are your inspirational women leaders in Malaysia and internationally that you look up to?
Okay, so like probably not leaders in specifically. I think one of the women that I always looked up to is Yuna. So I actually met her because when I was studying in the US, I had the opportunity to actually go to her concert twice in Chicago.
Wow!
So the first time,
High
the
five,
first
high
time
five,
was
high five. I'm also a big fan of Yuna. I love her
yes.
song. I love Yuna.
Yuna is just a strong example of a woman who goes and chase her dream without being tied down by what people say. There's a lot of people who condemn her for what she is, saying that women shouldn't be this and that, she shouldn't be in the US, things like that. But she just follows her dream, and I think that is a very strong trait that people should just uh, view as a good example. Is because she follows her dream and make it a reality despite whatever people say. Because it's funny, when I was in the business school, doing one of my activities in university, they were like putting on music in the background, and then suddenly they were putting on Yuna's music, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, Americans actually do listen to her, and they actually play it in class and everything. So it's very fun to actually be able to see a fellow Malaysian, and despite being so successful, she's also very, very humble and kind. So that's
Yeah.
one thing that I like about her, is because when we met her, when I went to see her the second time, I actually bought the VIP ticket to actually see her before the concert, and got like meet and greet and got
Wow.
posters and autograph and all that. So she was very, very friendly, very, very down to earth, despite being a very huge international name.
Star, yeah.
And then she is also very, very like approachable on Twitter. So I remember one time there was just a lot of the gun issues and gun cases going on in the US. So
Mm-hmm.
she was tweeting like, oh, is all my Malaysians in the US like doing okay? Let me know if you need any help and all that. So I was responding back to her saying that, oh, we at my university were like doing good, and she actually responded back to say like, oh, make sure you guys take care of each other and all that. So she is very, very friendly and approachable. So that not just being an international like leader in and doing what she is, she's very approachable. That makes it like, oh, you can be a big name and a big celebrity, but then still very approachable, very down to earth, and that is just cool.
Yeah, and what I like about Yuna is like she put Malaysia in the map.
Yes, definitely.
And
She does.
American, the whole entire American, like American people know about Malaysia, and she's like representing Malaysia to the world.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I also like her concert because she always sing a Malay song at her concert at the end. So she always sing like Dan Sebenarnya at the end of her concert. She'll be like, oh, this is for my Malaysian peeps. And then she'll sing that song at the end of every concert. So it just kind of like make it nice. She wants to bring something new and not just sing all
Yeah.
her English songs as well. So that's the fun part about it. She's
Okay.
very, very nice.
Wow. Okay. Apart from attending Yuna concert, what is the most memorable experience that you had when you were in America, when you were studying there
Uh,
in
so I had a
Wisconsin? Yeah.
few. I think one of the biggest one is during my final year at university, I attended a conference in Texas. So I randomly found out about the conference that it's actually a conference for students affairs professionals. So people who work in universities and higher education institution as like advisors, career advisors,
Mm.
all in the residency hall and all that. So I actually found out that they had a pre-conference event for undergraduate students who wants to explore the industry. So I found out that they were also offering like scholarships to help offset the cost for traveling to get to Texas and everything. So I randomly applied for it like 2 days before the deadline. That's when I found out about it. Good thing that my advisor was available to like help write the recommendation letter and everything. So I actually got the scholarship to go to the conference. I've never
Wow.
been to Texas before. I
Okay.
don't know anyone who was going to the freaking the same conference that I was going.
Okay.
But got it, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go, even though I'm going alone. And I actually went there on my own. I think I took a train. Can't remember if I took a train or I flew there alone. But I Airbnb my whole way there. I took Grab to the conference center because I didn't know how to take the bus in Texas because I didn't know how it is. I didn't want to chance it, so I just took a Uber everywhere I go, and it was a really good experience because I meet a lot of good people who are like interested in the same things that I was.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a really good experience for me, a really good exposure.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a friend who was 1 year younger than me, and he was interested in the same thing as well because he's very interested into like advocating for LGBT minorities and all that in universities, and the US is very, very big on advocating for students. So he was interested in that. So I recommended him to go to the same conference that I was. They also had like a fellowship thing that I wasn't available at that time to join, but I recommended my juniors to like, oh, go apply for this and make sure you get it and everything. So he actually got in the fellowship program. He went to the same conference that I did the year after. And when he went there, he actually met a fellow Malaysian. It's actually two Malaysian professors and academics and staff from UTP who went to the same conference in Texas because they wanted to learn about how the US universities do their whole students affairs, and they wanted to bring it back to UTP.
Mm-hmm.
So when he met the two UTP staff, he was talking to them about me, and then they were like reaching out to me to ask me like, oh, do you want to apply to work at UTP? So that was like a very funny, out of the world. I didn't think about it. I didn't know that was going to happen, but that did. So that was like a very funny coincidence that happened.
Wow, you just seized the day. You just took the opportunity, right?
But that was fun. Like it was a good time. I had a good time in Texas. I didn't know anyone there. So that makes it a lot harder to like try to mingle in and everything. But because a lot of them were also undergraduate students that I met, so everyone was just like, okay, you know what? Let's just like talk about why we're interested in this. And it's like, it was very hard at the first step because most of them already know each other because most of the undergraduate students there were from the same fellowship. It was only like a couple of us who were not in the fellowship who applied for the program, and then we got in. So it was very hard to like try to break into that group because they've already known each other. But they were like very accepting and they were like very open, sharing their experiences and everything. So that was a very, very great experience. I think that's kind of like what led me into being getting into university and working with students, because I know that how empowering that can be for students when they are able to see someone fighting for them and fighting for their worth.
Wow. Okay. What an amazing journey. And what about the inspirational woman leaders that you admire internationally?
Okay. So I think one that I would always say is she's not that well known because she used to be the dean at our university. It's just that I like her. Her name is Dean Laurie. So she used to be at Wisconsin. Now I can't remember where she went to after I left. But I think I admire her the most because one, she as a dean, it's sometimes like hard when you are talking to someone who's higher up in the university, and especially in Malaysia when you have to like constantly call people like professors and all that. But in the US, there's no like barrier between being a professor or university staff with the students. So people call their like professors and the lecturers by name. So she's very down to earth. You can just call her Laurie. She has her office door open so anyone can just pop
hi,
in to see
Laurie.
her.
Hi.
Yes, she does that, and it was like the first time I went there, it was very hard to like try to understand how that works. Just
Yeah.
because we're not used to being that informal and casual with a senior member of the university. But even as a dean, she was very, very approachable. She takes
Very
care of students
friendly.
really,
Yeah.
really much. So she has open door policy. People can just come and see her. She's very, very into students. So during my final years at university, she had cancer, so she couldn't like be as open to students as possible. So, but she is still there. She comes to event. It's just that she doesn't do all the hugging anymore with students and everything because she's going through chemo and everything. But then she's still there, being there with students to show that she is supporting students, she is advocating for students, and that's just something that I really want to do because she fights for students regardless of who they are.
So you really admire her as an individual, as a person, and also as an academician, right? So you look to her as an inspirational woman icon.
She is just strong. I mean, like most strong because we tend to grow up with the thinking that like you don't want to be too strong of a woman just because that might like men are not going to look up, men don't like strong independent women and all that, but she's just very, very strong. But she's also, she still has that caring side to her that she actually cares about her students, kind of like her own kids. So that makes her like kind of like a mom figure to all of us, because she is very, very caring. She genuinely cares for you, and she does make you feel that way as well. She just doesn't say it, but then she shows it as well. So that's the fun part.
Wow. Okay. Do you have any other inspirational women leaders that you admire internationally besides her?
Probably not a leader per se, but like Serena Williams. I think
Wow.
all the inspirations that I have are like super, super strong women. And they're just like breaking through every single stereotype and barriers that women have. I
Breaking
think
through
Serena,
barriers. Yeah.
they just break. They're not breaking through. They're like jamming through it, like crushing it, like wrecking all the barriers. Like Serena, I think the fact that as a strong and as a black tennis player, that she faced a lot of criticism, and the way
A
that
lot
she
of challenges.
handled it,
Mm-hmm.
she faced a lot of challenges as well. And then
Mm-hmm.
I think her achievement and accomplishments are always diminished because of who she is.
Mm-hmm.
People tend to like talk about all the other male tennis players, even though she has more titles than them. And then it's just that they don't look up to her just because she's a black woman. So I think that the way that she fights for her and fights for women empowerment, she fights for like racial equality and all that, that is just like something that people should follow.
Yeah.
Just because she believes in herself, she believes in like, she might not look like the typical woman that you see. She's very, very strong and muscular, but then she does carry that forward as her own. So she makes like being strong something that is admirable, and that is something that people should like look up to, because you don't have to look a certain way to be called like beautiful. You can look in many different ways. All different body types are beautiful in their own way. So she follows that correctly.
Mm-hmm. And what most important thing is your heart, is your intention, and what is the difference that you want to make in other people's life.
Yes, definitely. I think like when you truly believe in something, when you have a true purpose in your life, and you do every single thing in your life following that purpose, it comes true. You can actually see it, because you don't have to fake it. Yeah, because you don't have to fake it. So your actions will actually show what you believe in. And then all the people that I am inspired by have one true purpose, and it's like easy for them to go through life because they know themselves and they know their purpose. So when they fight for anything that they do, it's always aligned with the purpose and the values that they have.
Yes, and I agree with you on that. And we have to also believe in ourselves, believe in our ability. And then most important thing is that just go for a dream, like you say, just smash it, go for it, right? Yeah.
Yes, I think there was also an article I read a couple of months, maybe a year ago, about like job. If we're talking, because I also do a lot of work with like university graduates and students about job application. So I do like career mentoring, and like I teach job search classes for graduates. So one of the articles that I read last time, they actually talked about how females, when they're looking at the job application, female don't apply to job application if they don't fulfill all the requirements, but then males tend to apply for all the job application even though they don't meet all the requirements. So for females, they tend to like see if they read a job application that has say like 10 requirements. If they don't fulfill all 10, they won't apply to it. But for males, if they see that, oh, they fulfill 5 of it, and they just apply for it. Because I think we are scared of like not being able to completely fulfill something, or they are like afraid of like taking chances and all that. And that's kind of like something that I want to try to advocate and empower young people to actually just apply for anything, even though you might not meet every single requirement, but you'll never know unless you try. It's always hard to actually find a position or an opportunity that is perfect in every way, and it's also hard for them to actually find a candidate that is perfect in every way. So if you meet like 50% of the requirement, but you think you can do a good job at it, just apply for it, because there's no harm in just applying. You're not going to lose anything. The worst thing that can come is just getting an email back saying that you're not successful in this job application, and that's it. But at least the fact that you did try it, and then if it does come true and you get the opportunity, that can open a lot of doors for you. So just taking that first step to just send in your application, regardless of if you meet the requirements or not, it's just pushing forward and reaching out for the dream and just doing it, even though you don't think that, you don't know if it's going to happen or not, but just trying to take that opportunity.
Just go for it. Yeah, and
Just
it
go
doesn't
for it.
matter whether if you get the job or not, at least that you try, you make the effort, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because then some people start complaining that, oh, they've applied for jobs but then haven't had any good news back, or they've applied for so many, they've waited for so long after graduation but still no job offer and everything, and then you start to wonder like exactly how they start approaching the whole thing. Are they just applying for every single thing that they see or everything, or are they like strategically thinking about who they are as a person, their strengths, their skills, their purpose, and finding the jobs that actually fit what they're looking for instead of just randomly shooting their shots? Because it's always better like to actually understand who you are as a person, what's your
Yeah.
purpose is, what your goals are, and then trying to figure out what ways and what pathways will actually lead you to where you want to be.
Hey, all right. We have come to the last question, Syaza, the last
Okay.
question of the day. Okay, what is your advice to the young ladies out there?
I think one advice would be, don't let that voice in your head hold you back. So like just do whatever it is that you want to do with your life, or whatever it is that you want to do, be in academics, be in career or personal or whatever it is, just do it, because there's always going to be that voice inside at the back of your head that says that you're not going to be able to do it, you can't do it, you're not strong enough, you're not good enough. Just ignore that voice. I've had that voice in the back of my head since I was in university, that I've been wanting to do career mentoring for students, because I've always enjoyed talking to students, talking to graduates, but I didn't think that I was good enough to actually start doing it professionally and actually starting to offer my services. And then earlier this year, I was like, you know what, screw this, I'm not gonna listen to that voice anymore, and I just go ahead and do it. And it actually went well. People actually enjoy what I'm saying. People actually learn something. So I was like, why didn't I start doing this earlier? Because I listened to that voice inside my head that says I'm not good enough. Because you can't wait for the perfect opportunity to come. You have to grab the opportunity or
You
make
have
that
to
opportunity
seize that
yourself.
opportunity. You have to go for
You have
it.
to create it.
Yeah, create it. Yeah.
The right opportunities will not come. You might be waiting forever for the right time and the right place to actually start doing something, but the perfect time might not even come. So you have to create it and just do it. When you have that thought in your head, plan it correctly and start doing it, because the longer you wait, the more you're going to want to put it off. So we don't want that to happen. We don't want you to miss out on something just because that tiny little man in the back of your head says that you're not good enough. So just go ahead and seize it. Seize the opportunity, do it. Whatever people
Yeah.
say. If you fail, you learn something new. That's the worst thing that can happen. You learn something new, you learn from your failures, and you learn something that can help you in the future. The best thing, you make a career out of it. You gain something, you gain new connections, you gain new experience, and you might just be successful in it.
Wow. Yeah. Carpe diem. Seize the day. Carpe
Seize the
diem.
day.
Yeah, seize the day. That's one of my motto in life. Seize the day, carpe diem. So we have to take the chances and opportunity. And like what you say,
Definitely.
create it. Yeah.
You have to create it, because if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't believe in your worth and your own skills, nobody else is going to believe in you. So you have
Mm-hmm.
to believe in that and actually push forward and fight for yourself, because in this life we are all fighting for ourselves. We don't have time to actually fight for other people. Whatever it is that we believe,
Yeah.
and we have to fight for ourselves and fight for what we have. So
Yeah. And there's
fight for
another
it.
inspirational quote that I like. When opportunity doesn't knock, build a door.
Yes.
Yeah. So when the opportunities doesn't come by, you can create it. So when opportunity doesn't knock, build the door. So there's always opportunities. We
Something.
just have to
Yes.
create it. Yeah.
You have to just create it. Create the right timing. If you don't know how, talk to people. There's a lot of groups out there. There's a lot of support groups, or even organization that you can be a part of. Just if you need inspiration, there's a lot of them out there. Just find inspiration in whatever ways that you is comfortable and that is personal to you. Some people find inspiration by watching other people's videos, podcasts, read a book or something. There's a lot of good resources out there. It's just making use of those resources to actually find the right opportunity for you, to create that opportunity
Right.
for you.
Yes. Okay, Syaza, we've come to the end of the show. Do you have any advice that you would like to share with our viewers?
Uh, I would probably say really, really know yourself. That's always the most important part, regardless of who you are. If you're a student, graduate, professional worker, retiree, it's always important to know who you are and what is important to you, just because it's always so easy, especially nowadays, that there's a lot of things going on around us, that it's always easy to get distracted by other things. So by
Yeah.
knowing who you are, by knowing your values, your purpose, it's easier for you to stay grounded to your beliefs, and you don't get distracted so easily, because you are truly aware of who you are as a person and what you're fighting for. So knowing yourself is the key to everything that you're going to do for the rest of your life.
Okay, and Syaza, if there's people who would like to connect with you on LinkedIn and Facebook, can you share with them what is your Facebook name, your LinkedIn?
Yep. So my LinkedIn name is Syaza Nazura no Azmi. I think there's no Azmi part in it. On Facebook is Syaza Nazura. I'm also on Instagram and Twitter. On Instagram is Syaza Nazura. So literally it's Syaza Nazura everywhere. On Twitter it's Nazu2308. So if you're watching this in August, you can wish me my birthday in August. It's 23rd August. I also have a blog that people can read, especially for graduates and students. It's syazanazura.com. So go ahead and read it if you want. And subscribe. I have newsletters going out every 2 weeks as well, when I talk to graduates and students about like self-development and personal growth. So talking about ways that they can help improve themselves, sharing that advice and information as well. So do connect with me.
Okay,
It's always fun to hear from people.
awesome. Okay, and for those of you who would like to connect with Syaza online, you can connect with her via her LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Syaza. Thank you for being with me on Women Empowerment Series. So I hope for those of you who are watching this, I hope you are motivated, inspired by Syaza's just now, and also take some of her advice for the young graduates out there in your planning your career journey. You feel free to reach Syaza or myself on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Till then, stay safe, take care, bye. Bye,
Bye
Syaza.
guys.
Assalamualaikum.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Waalaikumsalam.